This is Bob reporting for WBEE News. It is raining cats and dogs. The wind is blowing hard. I don't know how much longer I can stay out here. It's June 1st, just the beginning of hurricane season. Are your beehives hunkered down? If not, they're going to end up somewhere over the rainbow.
Hey, Dad, can I borrow your camera cord? What are you doing?
Cut! Okay. With all kidding aside, hi, I'm Pastor Bob with Bob's Beads, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about being ready for the storms that come. I live in beautiful, sunny Florida with sunshine and sandy beaches, but it's not always that way. In life, a little rain must fall, and all beekeepers know we need to be prepared for the storms that come. So I just want to give you a few tips and things that might help you get ready for the storm, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing I wanted to point out was in my apiary, I basically have two different types of hives. I have the flow hive, and then I have the regular Langstroth hive. The difference basically is the tops on it. The supers are different. The brood box is the brood box no matter what. I don't care what anybody tells you about flow hives. Just care about the brood box, okay? The super is just how you extract the honey, so it doesn't matter. But this is what most people use. Here's the Langstroth hive. I'm going to show you the difference between why I need to do the flow hives with the cottage roofs differently than the Langstroth hive to keep it tied down. But the main thing that we need to do is make sure that they're tied down, they're strapped down, so that when the wind blows, it won't blow anything over. Another thing I want to point out is that you need to make sure that you've got everything picked up around your hive. Make sure you're not leaving your smoker out. Make sure you got everything, the small stuff picked up, so when the wind does blow, it doesn't knock into your hives. Also, the trees got to be, make sure you have the trees trimmed up around it, so when a limb falls, it doesn't fall on your hive. These are just simple things that you have to look out for at first. Now I want to show you something here in the back. Okay, so what I wanted to show you back here, I'm not sure what the regulations are in your state, but in Florida, if your beehives are 15 feet from your property line, you have to have a flyaway wall, which is a 6-foot wall. So I use my privacy fence here, and that's really actually a good idea because the bees come out of their hive and they go up and they'll fly right straight up in the air rather than flying into your neighbor's backyard. So my wall happens to be facing west, where most of the storms come in here in Florida, on the west coast of Florida. Now it all depends, of course, where your property is located, if your fence is on the north, south, east, or west, whether you're on the east coast or the west coast. The important thing is to make sure that your wall does not fall in on your beehives. I have some pictures that I'll put up where the mistake that I made before I put these supports up, my wall crashed in on my beehives. So you can learn from my mistakes and see how I solved that problem. I took a 2x4 and I've got another one over there, and I push the wall back and I screw it firmly into the wall so that the wind will not come down and knock the wall down on my beehive. So that's something important for you to look at. I think it helped me. Hopefully as the storms come, we'll find out for sure. But this is what I wanted to show you about this. Depending on what state you're in, what regulations you have, what side of the coast you are, just make sure that your wall doesn't fall in on your beehives, okay? Your regular Langstroth has this telescoping lid, and the flow hives have a cottage roof, which I actually kind of like. It gives them more ventilation. But anyways, you have to strap them both down. And like I said, I like to use stakes in the ground. I want to show you the first mistake that I made, and that was with the stake. I bought these kind of stakes with a little auger on them, and I put them down into our sandy Florida soil, and as soon as I started ratcheting them down, they pulled right back up out of the soil. So I had to get more of a stable, something that's really going to hold them down. So I got this. It's just an 18-inch, and I suppose it's like a dog stake that stakes a dog down in the ground. I like this one because the chrome ones that you get, once you start cranking it down, this ends up snapping off. So this is the one I bought. I don't know exactly where I got it from, but it has worked really well. Okay, so one more thing I want to show you here to stabilize your hives is I use these L brackets. This might just be something you might want to do. I have this hive stand that only has a few inches on either side, and in the past I've tried to move this hive around just a little bit. It slipped and it almost fell off the stand with all the bees going everywhere. Luckily I caught it in a calm Zen-like motion and put it back up there, but I wouldn't have had to do that if I just used this L frame like I'm using now. The L bracket, I screw that into the frame and then into the side of the hive and the bottom board, and it goes nowhere. So it really helps with the stability. So now let's get to strapping these things down. Okay, so I wanted to show you what I mean here by strapping these down to the ground. The stakes that I put in are real low to the ground. I'm not sure if you can see them. I'll give you more of a close-up once I set it up. But what I like to do is put these straps into the ground. Got a lot of bearding going on. It must be hot out here for these babies. And then we just bring it up over to the top. Strap the under end of the ratchet strap. There. Pull this tight as we can. And then we just ratchet it down. Just enough to keep everything in place. We don't want to crush that roof. But that's the simple method of strapping it to the ground. I'll give you a close-up. Okay, there you see my stake in the ground and the strap attached to it. And then of course I have one on the other side. So that's pretty much the way I strap them to the ground. The main thing is to keep these things strapped down. A lot of people will just say, well, just put a brick on top of it. A brick is good up until about 50-mile-per-hour winds. Once it becomes over 50-mile-an-hour winds, it's not going to hold this on. It's going to blow away. Also, I use screen bottom boards. Screen bottom boards are great, especially here in Florida. It gives them a little more ventilation. But if you don't have a screen bottom board, you're going to want to elevate the back of the hive up about 10 degrees so the water will flow out instead of being caught in the middle of the hive, in the bottom of the hive. So I just want to give a real quick recap of what we covered. First of all, the main thing is to be prepared. So better be prepared when it's nice and sunny out, because you don't want to wait till the last minute when the storm's upon you to try to get everything staked down. Just be prepared to stake it down. One first thing we talked about is making sure you don't have any debris in your apiary. Anything that would fly around and hit the hive and knock things over, make sure you take all the smokers and everything out of there, out of your apiary, so keep it nice and clean. The second thing we talked about was really strapping these things down. I prefer to strap them down with stakes in the ground. Put your stake firmly in the ground and use a ratchet strap to strap it down there, whether you use the regular Langstroth hive or if you're using the flow hive. Make sure you keep those things strapped to the ground. I did say that you could strap it to the frame if you want to, but secure it really, for my best advice is to secure it firmly to the ground. Other things we talked about is using the L brackets. I use the L brackets to secure it to the frame, and your wall. Make sure your wall is shored up. You don't want wind hitting that wall and knocking the wall down onto your beehive. So that just about covers everything. Make sure all your trees are trimmed up. Make sure there's nothing going to fall, and be ready for the storm. Okay, so that'll bring a close to another episode, especially this episode on storm preparedness. It's really important for more beekeepers to know about this. So if you would hit that subscribe button and the share button, ring the bell, so more people will be able to actually see and learn how to be prepared for storm season. We all know that that's very important. If the storm wipes out our beehives, we won't even be beekeepers or beehavers, we'll be begoners. So go ahead, hit that like button, ring that bell, and hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I hope this episode has been a little bit educational, inspirational, and at least a little bit entertaining. So whatever you do, wherever you go, always remember, please never forget to be amazing, because you absolutely are. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.